Good morning and welcome. My name is Lisa Howie, co-producer, but we all know this. We're already here. We're amongst friends and family, but I'm delighted to welcome you to our third and final panel for this iteration of Atlantic Arthouse. Today we'll be discussing contemporary photography in the region. Delighted to have Reagan Kemp as our moderator and also participating artist and curator representing herself, Bahamas, and the Ice Gallery. I want to thank the people who've helped us actually to get here as well. I think that we haven't necessarily done some shout outs that we should do for the people who've supported us. Goslings, Obvious Wines, Nadir Wade, Bermuda Tourism Authority, and obviously the delegates from French Guyana. Thank you so much for your support and also the longevity of support. Right, this is the moment. This is the beginning. And so we hope to have, and thank you for your camera work and your assistance too. So we're delighted that we're here and that this is the beginning of more. So let's pass on and let's continue. Have a great conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome everyone. I am delighted to be moderating this panel today. I wanted to give the photographers an opportunity to introduce themselves and their practices just so we can hear a bit more about them. I was recently introduced to all of their work. It's all brilliant. And I just want to let them, maybe the mic would help. But yeah, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves, say a little bit about what they do so everyone in the audience is aware. And we can go from there. Who wants to go first?
Hello, everyone. My name is Zen. I'm born and raised in Miami, Florida, but my family is from Haiti, Benin, and Nigeria, and also Native American as well. And I am a portraiture. I take portraits, and I obviously also work with video as well.
So hi everyone, I'm Eileen. I'm studying art history. I think I'm the only one who's not a photographer from here. And I study art history, specialize myself in photography. First of all, Southeast Asia, and I've been working in differently museum like ICP or the Rencontre d'Arles. And now, since 2021, I work with Carl Joseph for the Biennale des Rencontres Photographiques de Guyane. And I also work with a lot of photographers in Martinique with La Station Culturelle.
Hello everyone, I'm Carl Joseph. I'm from French Guyana. I'm a photographer, at the beginning a photojournalist and documentary photographer. And I'm the co-founder of the Biennale des Rencontres Photographiques de Guyane, a biennale that's started in 2012.
So let's jump right into it. I'd say my first question would be, how does your landscape, environment, community influence your images visually and conceptually, or your research, or even the artists you represent for Lisa? I recently hung this photography show, and it was a global photography show, and I was noticing how the actual tones of the images were very different based on where the people were from. So Ukraine was kind of gloomier, you see the winter tones, the Caribbean palette I feel like can be a lot more warm and vibrant. I was wondering if any of that comes out in your work and just the influence of your environment and landscape on the photos that you actually take.
Well, I discovered my love for photography while I was living in Seattle, Washington. And I was in Seattle because I was in the U.S. military, the Navy. And moving from Miami to Seattle was such a drastic change for me. Just the way that I even drove my car in the city and seeing different types of people, but the landscape was just truly amazing. I'd never seen so many trees in my life. And then when I started religiously every Sunday, waking up early in the morning to go hiking, and my eyes were just having an amazing time just watching, just to see how the city just transformed. So I just started taking pictures, of landscapes and city and street photography. And then my street photography came into more portraiture. And when I moved back to Miami, just to see how I was reflecting on how diverse the landscape is, and then now coming back to Miami, I was realizing how the people are so diverse, and I wanted to take pictures of people, just because I just seen people in a way that is more of a land, Each person I'm looking at right now just comes from so many different places, but we're all here today, and for some reason I just feel like it's a design, to be all in one place. So with photography, and what your question says, like, how does it influence? Yes, I think it's 100% influenced by what I see around me, and how I realize that life is curated for me in a way, but for all of us, but where my photography is my reflection, and how I see how the design is curated, and I want to capture that.
I'll just jump in. I'll speak to 3 artists that I'm working with from Bermuda, and we have them on display. And I'm thinking about James Cooper going into the seascape and his fascination with going underwater, and then taking these beautiful images and playing with them in terms of the digital tools that are available for him to then communicate more of what his intentionality is with the image. And then very differently, but thinking about water, is Meredith Andrews scoring the beach on a daily basis, finding objects that the ocean has turned up and returned to us, and gathering those and creating an archive of reclaimed objects from the ocean in order to then create sort of collages of these objects for a new expression. And then A.B. Wilson, very differently, really interested more in sort of the fine details, particularly of architecture, some of the elements that we might overlook, the cracks, the fissures, the spaces in between. And we use one of her images for our marketing called Continent Drift. And so she kind of, in her way of looking closely at small ideas of information, almost takes photography to abstraction.
So once again, I'm not a photographer, but as a curator, to answer to the landscape, I think I try to work about the image of the Caribbean, because when like stranger people, foreign people think about photography in the Caribbean, they think about the exotism, they think about I don't know, the flowers, the sea, and so it's a shame. I think we need to work about like there is like artist photographer very good. It's not because it's the Caribbean, and also I try to with Carl connect the Caribbean together to speak about like diffusion, production in photography. So yeah, that's the thing I do.
The thing is, here I've got two hats, because I'm a photographer, but I'm also the artistic director. So as a photographer, I started as a photojournalist, which means that I would go to places with the journalists and take pictures of this event or this thing that we wanted to document. So I think that photography for me was always an excuse to go to places that I wouldn't be allowed, or I wouldn't think about it if I was if I did not have the camera. So I carry on this this practice in French Guiana, when because I started when I was a photojournalism when I was living in Paris, and I studied it in Paris, and then I carry on my photographic path, being a more documentary photographer, and I was doing a lot of traveling from Paris to French Guiana, and it was a way as well to explore other communities in French Guiana, because there's a lot of different communities, and I'm from one, but sometimes the frontier was quite close, quite, and it was an excuse to go to some places that I would not be able to go without a camera. And as an artistic director, the Biennale was also an excuse to link French Guiana to the rest of his continent through photography, because of our past, our history. We are always looking at Europe, and even with the roads, there's not many roads to go to other countries around us. So the photography and the landscape was an excuse to link it to the rest of the South America.
Oh boy. Okay. As a curator, as photographers, as an artist person that represents these brilliant photographers in the show, I even personally noticed this almost pressure to create better images because of the access to smartphones, the access to cameras, Instagram, the social media landscape. I'm wondering if the digital or technological advancements of camera equipment, lighting, things like that, even AI, just improvements in technology, just in the time that you've been practicing, have affected your practice, if you feel that pressure as well, and if it encourages you to experiment in the medium more, or even the artists that you represent, because like James Cooper, for example, I see him, it's not just a seascape, he's like layering the images, like Meredith is doing things like flipping them. I'm wondering if you're seeing that Aline is an attempt to kind of escape that touristic gaze that we're kind of set into as the photographers in the region. So yeah, I'm wondering if you guys can speak to that a bit.
So as far as like technology advancements and keeping up with the time, I feel like a lot of artists and myself or just people in general, are very sensitive in a way where we can, if we look back, we see ourselves transform just because of how we respond to life. So as far as advancements in technology, I feel like for me, the response is kind of natural because I love being in the moment. And if this moment is if something that I am picturing myself to do and it's required to use the tools that's around me, I would use those tools as well. But it's but the technology doesn't influence me. I think my ideas influence me. So if I'm able to use these tools to create my ideas, then I will use them.
I'm thinking about Teresa Kirby-Smith. She's not on display now, but she's based in Bermuda, and she's a sort of a disciple of the photography of Ansel Adams. She's a Hasselblad analog darkroom photographer who was really interested in night photography. And a little bit like other artists that we have seen who do the sort of, allowing the earth to turn and capturing that imagery. And really, her images of night in Bermuda in particular are very unique photographs that are not common at all to the tourism market, to go back to kind of your earlier question. She's also now thinking also about how to embrace other objects like glass and water and taking photographs through them, but still using the analog. It's only very recently that she's embracing the digital. And what's interesting is that her work, time-lapsed photography taken through various medium, people are assuming it's been digitally manipulated. And then when I tell them, no, it's actually a handheld, slow process photograph. Oh, wow. So I find it interesting, too, that we have to articulate the process more and more where it comes to helping people to understand what they're looking at when it comes to photography, that it hasn't been an AI direction, that it really is still a created product. I think I know you're going to get into the conversation about photography as fine art, but that's still really important to the gesture of photography for us to continue to elevate the conversation that these are created, ideation from a pen, idea, a thought, and then making that image Because I'm finding people still like, oh, I don't know if I want to spend so much money on a one-of-one edition, because there's still a perception that it can be mass produced versus respecting artistic process, that the iteration of one is one of one and that's it. Yeah. And I think that's still the work too that museums have to do, because I think that museums help to cultivate cultural and social knowledge, and then it kind of flexes back into the commercial space for collectors to then make that investment.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, thank you. I'm thinking about the process too because I'm not familiar with like the digital tools. And this year for the Biennale, I work with a photographer from Martinique. His name is Jordan Bill, and he loves digital tools. But for his residency, he wants to work with analog photography. There is no photo lab in Martinique. So if you want to print your photography, you have to print in France or you have to print in another shop. I don't know where, but yeah. And so I have some images here because it's really interesting. Like Jordan, do his residency in French Guyana, so at Saint-Georges, close to the Oyapock River. And to make his photography, he used analog camera. And to have this effect, he boiled his print in the Oyapock water. Or sometimes he used the same pellicule, the same film to have the superposition of his image. So it's not using like digital tools, but you want the effect of digital tools. So yeah, I think it's a best example to speak about that.
Yeah, for me, what we have to remember is that it's just a tool, the camera, and the technique hasn't changed at all. So it's just a tool to express ourselves and to receive as well the expression of other artists, other people. So we have to think about this, which is more difficult for me. It's how you manage to show your images, because there's so many images now, because the technique is so easy to learn now. You have a lot of images, and it's more about how you manage to get out of this crowd, all this million of images, which is going to be and it's our job as well as people that's showing photography to manage to select those artists that are expressing their self, and it's really our job to manage to make spaces where those artists can express themselves, and then where there can be a dialogue between the public and those artists, and it's what we are trying to do with the Biennale, and especially with the residency. And we are trying to have more and more residencies, so you can create a space, a safe space, where the artist can produce his work and can think about his medium.
I was kind of wondering if you feel as if in the region photography is a respected medium, because I know in the Bahamas specifically we have very little photography exhibitions, very little shows. It's a very commercialized medium. I'm wondering what that's like in the spaces that you guys live and work in. I'm just wondering if that is a struggle or a thing that you face as well, like just having the work be recognized as a fine art medium, and just kind of being able as curators to explain the fact that like there's so much process that goes behind it, there's so much technique that goes behind it, the tools, all of this, the things that all of the artists just mentioned.
So do I feel the pressure to maintain my work in like the fine art space? Well, I guess a little bit more transparent for me in my journey. It's really interesting because I truly just started photography for myself. And I still kind of maintain that. I've just been really lucky that I'm also a curator and I run a gallery here in Miami. So a lot of the people
I
who
didn't know that.
yes, yes, I'm a director at the TRA gallery.
Okay.
And and some of my mentors are been like really great art collectors, like the Rosa de la Cruz and Carlos de la Cruz and Rubels. So a lot of my work has been like kind of moved around secretly throughout the city in a way. I never really put it in a show or anything like that. It's more like really good friends, collectors, and then it's been transported underground, I guess. So I never feel pressured because I feel like I project myself and I show myself as just a communicator for different artists, but working with collectors and working with a gallery, and then also with my team here, also like filming this talk now. So I don't.
Shout out to them.
Yes, yeah, shout out to those guys. So with my photography, it's more heartfelt for me, and that's why I'm very selective with the people I photograph, where I share an intimate connection with them. So most of the people that's in my I photographed are people I worked with or shared an experience with, or just my friends. I feel like connection is the most important part about my practice. So
First of all, sort of thinking about what are the rules that have been assigned to us. I feel like there were rules somewhere at some point. Photography was not assigned as fine art, right? And so we still have to challenge that. I'm thinking about the spaces and places around the world: ICP New York, Autograph London, Shoreditch, that are intentionally focused only on photography and doing that great work of telling those stories. Biennials now entirely dedicated to photography. And that all of those are really important, I think, to the global discourse and the global market, acknowledging and celebrating photography. Thinking about artists like JR doing large-scale photographic installations, taking over neighborhoods, and how all of these collective projects are so meaning-making toward answering your question, right? Which is to push the understanding of an appreciation for the medium itself. I was just thinking about rule breaking and how it's so imperative for us to continue to acknowledge that there have been barriers placed, and that that's part of our work as both the viewer, the investor, the makers, the spaces showing, to continue to allow and have permission for no barriers, be limitless.
I think there is like two answer to answer to the question, because photography for me is fine art, but also in the Caribbean and in French Guiana, I think there is also a social power with photography, because it's more accessibility, there is more direct confrontation, and so for me, like, if we only think photography as fine art, we gonna exclude a lot of people. And also with the Biennale, we do work with archive. Like, we work with one photographer for 2 years to make archive, to build a collection of his or her own photograph. So maybe it's great to recognize photography as fine art for gallery and world art, but like for the people, I think it's like above the society for me.
Yeah, I think what we do with the Biennale is to put the photography in the streets, because our public is in the streets. They don't go so often in White Cube, and anyway, we don't have a White Cube in in French Guiana, so we don't have so much exhibitions rooms. And I think also maybe it's easier when you come from France to show photography, because it's already a quite respected art. And you had a lot of photographers during the 40s, 60s, 50s, 60s. That's they were in war with the institution to be able to be recognized as artists. They built great institutions, and maybe it's easier. And when you talk with the people, and when you talk with the governments and institutions, to show photography and to be respected as a photographer. But as well, our jobs, it's to go to the public with our works, and to show to into the street our photographies too. So I think it's very important too. We have a part to play in this, in the fact that we can be respected as artists.
Just to think about what you're saying about the accessibility, I was thinking about the artist Deborah Jack. She's on display right now at Scope. And how does everyone, I don't know if you know Deborah Jack. She's from, I believe she's from Bahamas. No, she's from St. Martin. St. Martin, excuse me. And Deborah Jack and I were speaking about her installation that was recently presented at Fuse in the Bahamas, at Bahamar, and how she intentionally seduces the audience. She brings you in with very facile information, the beach, the water running up to the beach, the tide and the ebbing of the ocean, and then starts to layer in the complexity of a narrative related to her true intention. And she uses the accessibility access point, the goal of drawing you in and being comfortable, only to slowly push you towards uncomfortability as she addresses the real intention of the critical topic. And I wanted just to highlight her as an artist in this conversation, because I think that you're right, yeah, because that is very powerful. We go back to the tool, yeah, to hook and manipulate, right? It's quite subversive.
It's what we do as well with the exhibitions. We put what we call the easiest exhibition, the more accessible into the streets, and then we try to bring the people into the rooms to more maybe not difficult, but that are the entry are more complicated for the people that are not used with this medium. So we try to have this path, so it's easier as well for the people to go through the works.
That's great. And that accessibility point was a great point, because you think about how photography functions digitally a lot of the time, and how documentation of our communities is so important, and how reflecting the times is so important. That's really the role of a photographer. So the fine art space is important, but like getting it to the people is very important as well. So thank you for bringing that up. This next question is born out of curiosity. I think Aline and Lisa may be able to speak to it as well, but specifically Zanon and Carl, I think, should be able to answer this. Do you ever experience a struggle between balancing the personal projects that you want to create as a photographer and the commercial work that you often have to take on? I think that's a good one. And I'm really curious about that, because that's something that I face a lot as a photographer, is kind of like creating the mental space and the time to work on my own projects when it is such a commercial medium sometimes. Yeah. You have to take on a lot of work, just, for functional reasons. So how do you balance the two, and the desire to create for yourself along with the desire to create for others?
That's a really good question. I think in the beginning of my journey, I identified that I enjoy taking photography seriously. And I had an idea of what I like and what I enjoyed to take. And in that process of figuring out, what I want to focus on, or what I want to pour my energy into, that's the time where, I was getting asked to do photography for events and baby showers and weddings and things like that. And even though at the time I desperately needed the money, so I did it. But one day I decided, no, that's not who I am. I don't enjoy doing it. It felt like a task. It felt like I was being distracted as well. So I just told myself, no, that's not what I want to do. and I was just so lucky enough, though, in that process of me deciding what I want to do, I was able to work. And I worked for some great, amazing people that really also turned into being my mentors too. And so it allowed me not to care about, trying to make the money really quick. And I was able to really dive into what am I looking at, what am I spending my time with, and who am I spending my time with. And from there, I realized, too, is that with my love for photography allowed me to find the love of community. So, I started, an artist platform. So I wanted to highlight the communication that we're having and that the other artists in the world have to say. So speaking a language was important. So, so the balance of trying to, compete commercially, I found it with doing more work, doing more work and helping other people just because my own curiosity to getting to know people made me allowed me to not worry about the commercial side of things or keeping up with trends or keeping up with you know the this hustle. I didn't have to care about it. I don't have to care about it.
I think I was more or less in the same place than you were, and I couldn't find as well my path through photography. It was quite difficult, and I was doing some commercial work as well, but it's quite hard and you spend a lot of time doing it, so it's quite frustrating to not to be able to have the time for your own work. So it might be why I was happy to be able to co-found the Biennale, the festival, because it allows me to stay in the same field, a field of creation, and to start a conversation with other photographers that could help me to grow into my own work as well, and to build a platform of discussion with the other photographer, and to be able to go from this place to another place where I could create my own work and be able to carry on, and to be able as well sometimes to stop to work on my own work, because because sometimes you're not happy with what you're creating. You want to have a time off, kind of time off, and to think about and to be able as well to basically earn money. It's great things, and so the Biennale, I was quite happy to be able to have this place, this safe place where I could have this conversation with other artists and to talk about all the subjects. And la Biennale is called the Rencontre, so to meet other artists and to be able to share experiences, and it's very important as well.
If I can add something, yeah. So I'm gonna speak about Jordan Beale again, but Jordan Beale is a photographer of in Martinique of the distillery, the rum. So he take all the picture of the bottle and he owned his whole life like that. But actually, it's like he try many things in digital tools in this area of photography, and this thing allowed him to experiment the other side of his practice, to boil the print, to cut the print, and so yeah, I think it's like for him complementary to have the commercial work and artistic work.
I wanted to speak about Meredith Andrews and that the other image that you see on display here today with the woman who's in between the rocks, and how that was actually born out of a fashion shoot. And then she had the talent stay on for her to then do some further work for herself. So I think she's able to try to advantage both the contract, the hire, and then also the location. I'm thinking also about Bermudian artist Nuri Bashir, and he's got this terrific business and is evolving swiftly globally for taking photography. And he does the same thing every time he gets the opportunity to travel to take photographs for some brand, that he then actually fully advantages all of the assets for him to continue to develop his portfolio. But it's a little bit of burning the wick at both ends. Because then at the end of the day, they all come back from these projects because they're so drained. And then I'm on the side as the curator saying, I'm looking for more of your work. I want to do more of the show. And they're like, oh my gosh, I got so much work to do. But it's very hard to be an artist, photography or any artist, full time. And that myself as a writer, like to be writing. And at the same time, I was formerly an educator. You don't have any words left. And so even as the image makers for a commercial scene, you're still crafting your work. And so it's draining, right? You have to watch that sort of balance of your life energy and where you place it. Yeah.
My final question would be, because I'm an emerging artist and emerging curator, as you probably can see, I'm kind of young, but I am curious about what inspires everyone to continue doing the work that you're doing, what drives you, what makes you passionate about curation, documentation, photography, just continuing on, and what advice would you give to those seeking to follow in the same footsteps and stay motivated, stay inspired, and stay passionate about this beautiful work that we've undertaken as artists and art historians and people who document the community and maintain these gallery spaces?
I think in the beginning, with anyone deciding to do anything, they should identify why they're doing it in the first place. So even if you have to write it down or keep a journal or anything, identify why you are who you are, and identify why you keep going to make this first step. Because it's important, because we always going to have a time of, some type of climax where you just feel like, no, I need to go in a different direction, or I need to stop doing what I have to do. And then it's like asking yourself like, oh, why do you even feel like you have to stop doing what you feel like you're supposed to be doing? Because if you're supposed to be doing, you just keep going. But I think people get distracted from the little small things that happens in our lives, while we forget sometimes that our lives are not just our lives, and how our choices can affect everybody around us, positively or negatively. But I feel that as artists who share, it can be draining sometimes, because you're sharing so much of yourself and you're exposing a lot of yourself as well. So I can understand that point. But for anyone who's looking to this to keep going, it's like, just look around you, just look, and there's so many answers that can tell you you're doing, you're living your life for a reason, and you're doing these actions. Everything that you did in the past led you to this point for a reason. It's about honoring that. So I think we get in our heads, and our ego starts to say, oh, we're either better than this, or oh, this is not of me anymore. And it's like, that's just something that's just used to distract us. So yeah, I would just say, just remembering, why do you start in the first place? That's what keeps me going, and just being aware and answering to the call. It's really a call. I don't know, because in my practice, sometimes I feel out of body. Like this is not in my control. I'm just going forward, just going with life, and it's almost like not to sound so like a poem or anything, but like with the flow of water, like just if the stream is going this way, just go there, and then sometimes the flow is slower, sometimes the flow is strong. It can just sweep you away. So just keep going.
But for me, I'm gonna be really honest. From at the beginning, I was working in the big institution in Paris, and it doesn't make sense for me because we spent a lot of money for a few people came to the exhibition for one photographer. I was like, I won't quit this. I won't quit photography. But when I moved in the Caribbean, I met like. A real big scene, and I would love to participate to create, not create, to speak about the art history over there, because there is one, but it's totally effacé. Erased, yes. And so, yeah, for me, it's like I have some competencies and I can like work with them to make it happen and to recreate the art history of the Caribbean with the artist. And also, I think that for me, art needs to focus on the social reality and not just have exhibition and gallery space and everything, because it's for a small world. But in our territory, it doesn't exist actually. Like you have to put the exhibition on the street, you have to speak with people, you have to go to the people. And yeah, for me, it's my mantra.
As an artistic director, at the end of every biennale, I want to quit. I want to stop. Too much work, and I'm tired. And what am I doing to this for what I'm doing all this work? But after a while, when you receive the email, the messages from the artists, they're so happy that you created a space for them to be able to exchange, to be able to talk together. And then you carry on, and you have new projects, you have new collaborations, and people that you want to work with, and it's maybe this this chance to be able to at the end to be free to go from not from project to project, and to have this freedom to collaborate with some great people that you choose to collaborate with. It's for me, it's a real chance. And as a photographer, it's the same thing. You build your project, you do your research, and you know that you're going to some places that you're not supposed to be in. You're going to meet some people that otherwise you wouldn't meet. So it's what is very important for me. It's I can. What makes that I want to carry on and to not stop. But sometimes it can be very draining, and you feel that you don't have anything to say really, that you don't have anything to show, that the project that you're building it's not good enough, or that's. But at the end of the day, when you see the smile on the face of the people that are looking at your images or looking at the exhibitions that you built, it's what's make me carry on. Yeah.
And all very beautiful ideas. So two parts of your question, right? Inspiration and then the propensity to keep going. Something that Gail Monin had said to Vanessa and I, that, if we weren't afraid, that we hadn't set the goals high enough. And I'm also thinking about the tube in London, mind the gap. And as entrepreneurs, when you see the gap, you can't unsee it. When you recognize that there's an opportunity, it's very difficult to not stay intentionally focused on that opportunity. And then when I call it the universe, when the universe starts responding to you, expressing your goals and intentions, and you start to get these opportunities, then I feel like you have to keep going and go with them. the river is a wonderful metaphor because the river continues and flows even if you can't see it. It's all underwater, under the earth as well. So it's like, you move and flow. And I wanted to add too that working on one's own can only be so fulfilling. It only reaches a point. I find collaboration is so important. It's my number one business value. And it puts me into also difficult spaces sometimes, working with people to accomplish goals. When on your own, you might say, I can just do this on my own. But when you're working with people like this project here, bringing all of us together, we wouldn't have been able to predict the arc of our life that we would all meet here in this moment right now. And yet, if we hadn't created this project, we wouldn't be here. And how beautiful is that? So I really feel that the more that we can do, particularly where the art and cultural scene is concerned, to keep pressing in and creating more opportunities for people from around the world in different places and spaces to come together, and where we can meet in an almost apolitical space called art, right? A safe place called art. And have an opportunity to have conversations, to share ideas. I really feel that is the growth of our planet. The ecosystem that is acknowledged in the garden around us, the garden is talking to itself constantly and has been for decades. And it still is surviving while we throw down all of the cement. And I feel we need to really draw strength from our natural world and help us to remember that if a tree can grow out of a wall, we can accomplish anything. And so I always look to nature for my source of inspiration as well. And rejuvenation, because we get tired. How do we heal and grow? And my grandfather would say, go to the ocean. Take it all to the ocean. And you'll always come out of the ocean refreshed. And I reckon we can accomplish that in a good shower too.
Basically, it's why we co-founded the Biennale. It was also because there was a lack of representation of ourselves in this space of photography. So it was very important to be able to create this space where we could talk about images, about photography, and also to have this space to be able to create our own photography, but not people taking picture of us, but we thinking about how we want to be represented. And so it's why this space is very important. This kind of space are very important, and but it's also because we need to have a dialogue between all the images, all the photographers. And if you don't produce your own images, it's more difficult to accept the way that people are going to represent you, the way that people are going to show you, and especially in our countries where the history was quite was really strong, and because of the slavery, colonialism. So you need to be able to create your own images, to have this dialogue between the artist, and to be able to have a balance, to be at the same level than them, and not to and also to be represented in the space. As Eileen was saying, we work a lot on archive too, to show that photography is not a new stuff for us. It's always been there. We have been able to produce photography. It's just that we did not have the means to show it, and that we had great artists, and these artists are now represented, and we are like this. We are drawing a kind of a line of we are building the history of photography in French Guiana, and at the beginning it was the people coming from Europe taking the pictures, and very exotic pictures, and then you build like this an history of photography in our country, and you're now able to receive the other images, and it's only by doing this that you can receive them and not feel that subir, that you're I don't know the naming. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to add something because it's really good question. Like 2 years ago, we create a prize to bring a photographer in Arles Festival, les rencontres d'Arles, and so the photographer met like 50 people from photography, expert from everywhere, and 3 of the 15 people ask him why there is not coconut in this picture because he's from Caribbean, and it was 2 years ago. Yeah. So it's a really good question because we need to work with the photograph, but we need also to sensibilize the professional, the institution, to not to put them in the case of the coconut island or I don't know why. So yeah, thank you for your question.
Well, I'd like to thank Carl, Lean, Ray, and Lisa for joining me on this panel, for all of your excellent answers to the questions. And I'd like to thank all of our guests for coming out today and engaging in this conversation with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.